Where does our seafood come from? This is an interesting question, and from the perspective of the United States, unfortunately, it is not domestic. Most people in this country do not realize that the majority of the seafood that we consume is not produced or caught in the United States or the waters thereof, but it is imported from other countries. The majority of the seafood that is imported accounts for over $17 billion to the annual trade deficit of the country. Global supply chains are complex, and many people do not know or understand where their food comes from, and this is particularly true for seafood, as the majority of it is imported, and there are so many different seafood products to choose from. For example, seafood products may include finfish fillets, shrimp, roe, or fish eggs, and there is an additional variation within each type of seafood product based upon the species and geographic location of origin. This is an issue of national food security and global food security, and chain of custody and country of origin labeling are two very important topics when considering how to address this problem. In addition to this being a challenge for the public, it is also a problem in the sense that it is a critical component of our domestic food supply that we are unable to produce ourselves. In other words, we do not have the seafood industries in place at the scale necessary to feed our own people and to meet the demand. This is an issue now and certainly will be in the future based upon our projected population growth.
Meeting the domestic demand for seafood products is not only a matter of establishing industries across the United States, it is also one of sustainability. The decline of several important marine or ocean fisheries stocks worldwide has provided a critical need for rapid growth in the farming of fish, shellfish, aquatic plants, and algae, which is a practice called aquaculture. Aquaculture has been recognized by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, as well as the governments of many other sovereign nations, as a critical source of seafood products that will contribute to meeting the demands of a growing population. In addition to helping ensure our own reliable, sustainable, and resilient food supply, including aquaculture and food systems on the local, regional, national, and global scales, will also serve to mitigate impacts to wild capture fisheries that are at or are nearing overexploitation. As such, doing so will require joint efforts from the fisheries and aquaculture industries. There is a wide diversity of aquaculture products, systems, economic scales, markets, and product value chains. The term Blue Revolution refers to the significant growth and intensification of developing aquaculture production systems globally from the middle of the 20th century to the present day, and in particular in underdeveloped countries. Further still, global aquaculture production more than tripled in live weight volume from 34 metric tons in 1997 to 112 metric tons in 2017, and in 2013, over half of the seafood consumed in the world was from aquaculture as opposed to from wild capture fisheries. The Food and Agriculture Organization projects that by 2030, over 2/3 of the global seafood consumed will be an aquaculture product.
Global food demand is rising, and serious questions remain as to whether the global food supply can increase sustainably into the future. Land-based expansion of agriculture is possible, but this practice may exacerbate the impacts of climate change, loss of biodiversity, and compromise the delivery of other important ecosystem services. For example, water use and efficiency will be a major future consideration, especially for fresh water. Fish are the best for water conservation among agriculturally important animals. Despite the fact that fish live in water, most of the water used for aquaculture can be reclaimed or recirculated or used for irrigation of other crops. Thus, the use of water in aquaculture is very efficient relative to other agriculture operations. Further, the surface of the earth is mostly water, so if you're going to expand an agriculture operation somewhere, especially if land is restricted, it would be in the water, aquatic farms. In this regard, marine aquaculture has the greatest potential for expansion globally. Densely populated countries have already made the switch to aquaculture as a foundational component to their food systems, and the primary food animal protein in their diet is fish. Asia remains the largest aquaculture producer as of 2017, accounting for 92% of the live weight volume of animals and seaweeds. In addition, seafood products are a healthy source of protein and unsaturated fatty acids beneficial for human health, such as omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids.
The aquaculture industry has generally embraced meeting societal expectations of implementing environmentally sound practices. Finfish, shellfish, and crustacean aquaculture operations are progressively seeking to improve their environmental performances. The private sector farmers are actively working to meet government regulation, private and public sector standards, including consumer and marketing interests. Consumer preferences and social license to operate play important roles as well in guiding the development of best management practices for minimizing environmental impacts. Major gains have occurred in aquaculture feed efficiency and fish nutrition. This includes lowering the fish in, fish out ratio for all cultured species. This ratio represents the number of fish and/or their byproducts that are incorporated into the feed provided to the cultured species. Although the dependence on marine ingredients such as fish meal and fish oil persists, reliance on terrestrial ingredients such as plant-based proteins has increased as a sustainable alternative. Other factors for consideration when addressing sustainability for some types of aquaculture activities include potential damage to ocean and coastal resources through habitat destruction, animal waste disposal, and introduction and invasion of exotic species and pathogens.
Areas of innovation include examining the efficiencies in aquaculture food production systems. These include utilizing all parts of the animal and their waste products, developing multi-product operations such as aquaponics, where plants and fish are cultivated together, and multi-trophic culture systems where various organisms from different levels of the food chain are incorporated into production. In Africa, for example, lungfish can be grown as a carnivore along with tilapia that provide a prey base. Nutrients from the fish waste are absorbed by water hyacinth. In this example, all three products can be harvested. Great advancements are being made in processing, such as including seafood waste offal as the fish meal component of the diet. Additionally, culture of low trophic shellfish, fish, crustaceans, and insects have great potential in the future for efficient food animal production. The potential for mollusks and seaweed in particular for global nutritional security is an area that can be expanded. Here at NC State, we support the domestic U.S. seafood industries by conducting research and collaborating with stakeholders of both fisheries and aquaculture with the common goal of promoting U.S. seafood production.
North Carolina is the birthplace of the U.S. hybrid striped bass industry, which began in Beaufort County, and NC State University continues to support this industry by maintaining domesticated and selectively bred lines of the parental species, the striped bass and white bass, which are used by farmers to produce seed stocks. This effort for the hybrid striped bass industry is co-coordinated with the U.S. Department of Agriculture Research Service. The establishment of a domesticated striped bass industry is supported by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration Sea Grant and U.S. Department of Agriculture through the Striper Hub, a consortium of researchers and stakeholders in aquaculture, specifically for striped bass. These fish are housed at the NC State University Pamlico Aquaculture Field Lab in Aurora, North Carolina.
The Pamlico Field Laboratory is one of 4 NC State University aquaculture research stations. There are opportunities for undergraduate students, graduate students, and researchers to tour these facilities, volunteer for work, and conduct research at these locations.